there and welcome, it's Carol here again. I've come by to show you a flip through of my journal that I've made. I used the Wild Hedgerows digital kit that I created, and I've done some videos on some of the pieces that I made to go in the journal. Now, it doesn't make you a complete journal, but it gives you a starting point, which is what I think digital kits are sometimes really great for. They give you that starting point. The cover of this is made from an Amazon envelope, you know, the big brown ones, and I've covered it in wallpaper. I've also used some Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, and I've used a piece of fabric as the closure for this particular cover, and I've put lace on the spine. The closure is just held together with this bulldog clip, and I've put some, if I can get them the right way around, I put a couple of charms on there. So there's a butterfly and a flower, and that just clips this fabric together. I've also put on some lace, and this was gifted to me, so I decided to use that as well. So we just flip that open, but on the inside here of the closure, because this is a sample piece of fabric, it had a piece of paper here stuck on with the title of the fabric itself. So I made it into a little pocket and added a little journaling card inside. So that's a little bit of a surprise when you open it up. So you could write on there about the journal when you started creating in it and things like that. This is the wallpaper, which is really beautiful. It sort of is, it is cut pieces of paper to create the design. So if I give you a close-up, you'll be able to see the layers of all the different papers, and then they made it into a wallpaper. I mean, how clever is that? That's the back, so you've got another bird on the back. This is the best thing about the digital kit is, as I say, it gives me that starting point. But because it gave me that starting point, it made me start to think about all the other stuff, hundreds of stuff that I've still got all in my stash that I could then pair together with the digital kit as well. So you'll see that as we go through. The other thing that I forgot to mention about the cover is that I stitched around the outside edge of the cover itself just by over sewing using some embroidery thread, and I made the holes by putting it through the sewing machine without any thread in it, so it made just the holes. So it means that therefore then they're evenly spaced, and it just made it easier. I also did it so that when I ended a thread and started a new one, I just knotted it together so that it had that slightly more handmade look about it and gave it a little bit of age. So let's go to the inside. Inside there's a pocket, and this is one of the cards that I made, encased book pages in vellum, and I put some stickers on there so that you can write on top of these, and then there's a charm attached at the top there, a book page, and then this was one of the videos that I showed you how to make these little mini booklets, and they're sat on a belly band. So we've got the butterfly tea card and some scraps of paper in there. So that just sits over the top of the belly band, and the same with this one. And this was part of the kit as well. This page I've just left blank so that people can write on it. I've put a bird's nest on there because obviously we've got bird on the front cover, and put the words "and let it fly away," and it's a top loading pocket. And what I meant by it allowed me time to go and think about other things that I'd got in my stash. I remembered that I'd got this beautiful book that I'd cut up. I went through it all one day because I was fed up of all the books I'd got, and I went through and cut out all the lovely pieces of artwork in there, and this was one of them. So I've done a little bit of stamping on there, I've done some stitching, and put some little papers on the back so that you can write on the back of there as well. So that's in that top pocket. I'll put that away later. Here I just added a sticker and a little bit more of the Tim Holt stuff. Another thing that I like to see in a journal is when you write around items with the space that you've got left. So instead of, you know, writing, you get to create sort of these beautiful shapes from the text that you then add to it. A piece of handmade paper, and I've put a little pocket on the back there with a little tuck spot in it. I showed you how I made this with the invisible tags in there, so that I used the same paper for the bag as well as for the tag, so that when you put it in, if I move that, you can't tell. If I can put it back in the right place, there, you wouldn't be able to tell that there was actually a tag in there as well. A little pocket on the back here with a little booklet in, and then I added a little belly band here on the side and added a scrap piece of paper which I just folded up. It's just a long strip of paper that I folded up that you could then write on there as well, and that just slips under that little belly band. I also used some of this, I don't even know what you would call this, sort of a netting, so that flips up, so that you've got this as a writing space. And I added another one of the T cards on the bottom to give it that little bit of weight, so that it wasn't going to fly about a lot. And then when you lift it up, there's another one on the back side of that as well. And this actually forms a side pocket. And in the side pocket, I've done a really big journaling card with a tab on the side and some charms, so that you can write on there. This was another item that I made and have a video on. So I put a belly band on here, and this is a big tag, and it has a pocket in the side there, and this was from the digital kit. And then you flip it over, there's a pocket on the back so that you can put some writing paper in there, and then that slots in there. And I've put a tab, half of a tab at the bottom, so that I can sit that underneath so that it's not going to fall out. These were some tags that I made with the really useful digital kit, and I put some paper napkin on top. And because I've got an inkjet printer, when I pasted the glue over the top to seal it in place, it disturbed all the ink on the paper. Show you a close up. Not that I'm worried about that, because I think it just creates an extra look about it. And I also stitched all of that in place as well. Added some fabric on the edge. Then on the back of the tag, I put a little mini glassine bag with some postcards in, and I put a blank tag in the pocket so that you can create on that tag yourself. This is a printed coffee dyed paper that I created as well. Flip it over, and I've made this into a tuck spot, so I just glued it down the bottom, and inside of there there's a long, tall, skinny little booklet, some coffee dyed textured paper, a little piece of fabric there on the edge to add as a little bit of a tab, and I put a really beautiful button on it. If I show you that one up close, because it's really pretty. I really like that button. This again was from that beautiful book that I'd got about birds, and I've just added in there, so I've made it into a little tuck pocket, some papers, and this was from another one of my digital kits, blank on the back again, so that if you wanted to use the papers and create on top of that to create your own tag, then you can do. So that just slots in there. Another book page of beautiful poppies. I showed how I made this item as well, the little 3-fold. So it folds out like that. Did I get all that in shot? No. So that folds out like that. And then in this one where it was attached to the page, I've got a little money envelope that just sits in there. And then if I flip that over, there's 2 more money envelopes on the back, and I've just put some papers in there for you to journal on. And I added this little bit of a wasp rather than a bee. I think that looks more like a wasp. Washi tape, and then I put some charms on the tab. This was from my lace digital kit, which I need to re-add to the Etsy store, and I printed that off on vellum, and I've just fussy cut it out, and I glued it at the sides here, and then inside of the pocket. Again, I showed how I created these cards, which were from the Digi, and these were Tim Holtz, and this was a die cut sticky flower, and then I've just put some scraps of paper behind there. This also was from the DigiKit, and I just printed it out and made it into a little mini note card. But what I did was I cut out some strips of long paper, again from my scrap box, and I've just glued them at the top so that you can flip up and write on the back. So there's 4 strips on there. Or you can cut off and use pieces of it to decorate elsewhere. And then I've got these little notepads, which were quite cute, of leaves. They're like little post-it notes, but they're of leaves, so I thought those were quite cute, so I thought I'd add those. Another book page, the handmade paper. This was just a plain piece of coffee dyed paper. Just added a little bit of a decoration on there just to break up the plainness of that. But as you can see, even though it's fully decorated, there's lots of space for you to write in. So this is the centre of the signature, and on the strings I've added a couple of charms. So there's an acorn and a bird. I added some little clusters here because I folded up the bottom edge to make a little pocket. Added some lace. Now the A and the V do not stand or represent anything. They were just 2 spare letters that I'd got left over. So you could actually remove those and add something else if you wished. Again, from the digital kit, I just cut out these cards, stuck a little sticker on this one, and printed on the back of them so that they were not just plain card. And they slot in there. And then in this one, that was the 3rd one. So you know that little pull-out thing that I just showed you earlier? These are those cards, printed on the back again. And then this was the little envelope that was in the kit. But what I did was I got a new embossing folder, a Tim Holtz embossing folder, and I embossed a piece of card, and then I just painted it with some of my inks to add to the front of the envelope. Added a little crochet bit on the back and a button. But the relief, I don't know whether I'll be able to show it you, but it's one of those deep embossed ones. So I thought that looked really pretty in there. This again was from the digital kit. Added another bird from the bird book. And what I did was I just paper clipped this in place. So I'll just shift that round a bit. This was paper, book paper that I dyed, and then that flips open to create a double writing space there for you. I don't think I did anything else with that. And then that just clips back on there to hold it in place to stop it flapping about so much. Handmade paper, a little bit more ephemera. I didn't make that into a tuck spot though. Book page, again the lace pocket, the journaling cards from the digital kit, and again just decorated it up with some Tim Holtz stuff and stickers, and again just added a variety of different papers in the back. the leaves again. Another one of the journaling cards, but I just added a butterfly on this one. And again, on the back, I just put 4 strips of paper onto the back, so you can utilise those how you wish. Put that back in there. This was another flip out that I've done. Again, this was the DigiKit piece. Added some washi tape, added some other bits and pieces onto it. And then up here, I've used a little photo corner. I'll show you close up. Little photo corner up there. Because this just tucks into that photo corner, and then that flips out to create that double writing space again. And that just flips back in there to hold it in place. Another book page. Now this little piece of fabric, and I've used this fabric sort of throughout the journal a bit, was actually a blouse that I bought from the charity shop. And it was this lovely see-through fabric, but it had shredded a bit on the seam. But this part was from the from the sleeve, so it was the elasticated part around the sleeve here at the end. And so I used that because it was a solid piece here where the elastic is, and I just cut it up into strips and added it onto the edge. And with it being the greens that it is, I just thought it blended really well, and added a little button. Beautiful poppies. This one, I'm trying to think what I did now. Okay, this one I did as a top loading pocket. I made the pocket, and then I've added it around the 2 sides so that there's a tuck spot here with a journaling card underneath it. This again was from the DigiKit, so I added that on top of the pocket and just glued it around the 3 sides and added an index card in there that I coffee dyed. But in the pocket then there is another journaling card, one of those index cards, and I added a butterfly on the top just so that it makes it easier to pull out the card. New die that I got, I don't know whether you can see that okay, that cuts out the card into this sort of, I don't know what you'd call that, anyway, whatever it's called, creates that beautiful texture. And I cut it out a craft card, and then I inked up part of it and then glued it underneath the pocket. Here we've got another bird image from that book, and a little saying that I stamped out onto a piece of vellum. It says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And again, I made it into another little tuck spot with some papers in and another tag that was from another digital kit. But the colours again, I just thought went really well with the whole look of the journal. This one on the other side, if you remember, I made it into a tuck spot. This one, I've just done it as a flip out so that you've got all this writing space here. And in this section here, I made it into a pocket and added a tag. Again, this was from the bird book, and you've got writing space on the back. And that's what I say is, like, as I was working through this and making this journal, after I'd made the items from the kit, I started thinking about all this other stuff I got in my stash, and the birds came to mind because of obviously the bird on the front cover. So that's why you'll see the birds throughout the journal. The other side of the tags, same thing. I did the paper napkin, added some more of that fabric here on the edge, put the glassine bag on the back, put a journaling card in there, and there's a blank tag inside that pocket so that you can decorate that yourself. And then this is another piece of that mesh fabric, and again, paper on it to just weight it down, and paper on the back as well. But again, you can lift that up and utilise this space for adding photographs or for writing on. Side pocket, so I put a sheet of the tea cards from another digital kit of mine, and then if I flip it over, This I also made in one of the videos, and it's the envelope. Now, in the original video, I used a different napkin, but I decorated this glassine envelope with the napkin, and I've forgotten that I'd got this one, and this is actually one of my favourites. So I put that on because, again, it went with the theme of Wild Hedgerows. And we basically said, or I said, that this lady here, I forgot what I called her, but this lady here, it's her art book, because she looks like she's about to start writing in her book and making some nature notes. So, and in there were some more journaling cards, again from the kit, and on the back, and I won't show you both of them because they're pretty much the same, I used some paint chip strips, and I said that they would be ideal for just adding on maybe the word of the day, or how you're feeling, or a little saying that you've seen. And so I've put on a couple of little words, again from the Tim Holtz range. I've just put on a couple of little words on there to get you started, and I just clip those onto the back of the card so that you've got the paint chips to put your little words on, and then you can write on the back of the cards. So there's 2 of those there in that envelope, and then the envelope pouch part sits inside that pocket, and then the flap flips over. On the flap part on the back, I fussy cut out, this was again another one of my old digital cannot say that word, digital kits, from some eco dyed papers, and I just cut out another T card and added the explanation and the card, and just tucked it underneath there. So that flips over like that. Pocket again, another little book with some papers inside, another long strip of paper folded up and inserted underneath the belly band, which again, this was from the digital kit, and this was one of Tim Holtz butterflies, which I thought went really well. Another one of those pockets with the tag that you can't tell, if I move that out of the way, that there's a tag in there, and so that pulls out. So again, I showed how to make that in another video. Another handmade paper. This was a piece of leftover wallpaper. After I included the pockets, this was the strip that I cut out, and as I say, on the front, a lady gifted me this beautiful sort of flowers that came in a strip. So there was 2 different types. There was this one with loads of little bits and pieces coming off it, and then there was just a plain flower. So I added the plain flower on top of the centre of the flower, and added a little saying at the bottom, an inspiration to the simple life. And what I did was, I did contemplate making this into a tag, but I made it instead into a 3-pocket slot on the page, and then added some more of my old digis that I'd got cut out into those pockets. So again, another cigarette card, and this was the other envelope that was in the kit, and I just cut out the T card, cut out the explanation of the flower, and used that as the closure on the back, so that slots underneath there. But I thought that made a cute little envelope. And then another little journaling card. Make this journey of your own. So that slots in there. Let's put it that way in. And then again, part of the sleeve, part of the cuff. This is another pocket that I made. I did this journal card on the front, again from the kit. Added some Tim Holtz bits and pieces. Attached it around 2 sides so that again There's another journaling card behind there, and again, lattice, that was the word I was looking for. Mesh or lattice, whichever. And then that slots behind there. And then in the pocket that I made, there's another index card, again with a butterfly on the top to act as the pulley. And this was the page where I made it a top loading pocket. So again, another page from the book, did some stamping on there, stitching, added some slips of paper on the back, put that away later, Carol. And then I think I'm at the last page, yeah. So on the last page, I added a belly band. And this is where I said previously about if you've got a page that's just got writing on it, you can still do something decorative on it. So I've added some stickers on here, added the belly band, made a journaling card, and it doesn't look like a boring piece of text book page. And again, I think I made this one in one of the videos. This was the little seed envelope. Used some of the other pieces from there, stamped on it, added the little journaling card that sits inside, did some little bits of decoration on the bottom of the pocket, that slots in there, and I just added the paper clip to just hold them in place because that's quite heavy. Flip it over, another beautiful page there. And then this was another one of the encased journaling cards. Added a little metal butterfly on there. Put a little pocket on the back of this one and added some little tickets. And that, my friends, is my journal that I made, which was inspired via the digital kit. Oh, and I put the date in there, the 31st of May, because that was when I finished it. But I've left it large so that whoever owns this in the end can lift that out and put their own piece of paper in and their own information. But yeah, I really quite enjoyed doing this. And to my surprise, it's the first completed journal that I have made in a very long time. Because of one reason or another. It has been a long time in coming, me actually completing a journal. So for all of those that have put the Wild Hedgerows digital kit in their baskets on Etsy, I hope that this has now inspired you to actually go and maybe purchase it and see about creating your own journal. Anyway, time's up for me. I've left all the strings as well so that you can cut those off or add charms and things to them if you so wish. But that's me, done, dusted, one completed journal. Ta-da! Okay, I'm off now for my brew because I really need a cup of tea. See you later, guys. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now. Bye.